What did you think of the rally that your team had in the fourth quarter, particularly when it comes to Caitlin? I think she made 5 threes in that fourth quarter, more than our first 2 games combined. So just your thoughts on the resilience from her.
I thought our whole group showed resilience, in that rally. We showed the ability to make tough shots. We had some really good time and score execution moments, offensively and defensively, in those moments. We just have to have more of it.
The Indiana Fever's latest loss sparked far more conversation than the final score itself. After a heartbreaking double overtime defeat, attention quickly shifted from the game to head coach Stephanie White and her post-game comments. Reporters repeatedly questioned lineup decisions and defensive struggles, creating visible tension during the media session. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark once again showed incredible resilience, catching fire in the fourth quarter and nearly dragging Indiana to victory. What should have been a routine press conference suddenly became one of the most talked about moments of the week.
Caitlin Clark did speak to the media after this, and Stephanie White. We finna listen to Caitlin first. Something just has to be done with this team. To me, the Indiana Fever need to fire Stephanie White before the end of the month. So today's the 15th. If they do not win a home game this next game, we seriously, I know we all make videos saying that she need to be fired, but Christy's size was not this bad. I don't give a damn that they caught back up, that they was behind by 14, 15.
Despite Indiana's loss, Caitlin Clark delivered another superstar performance when her team needed it most. After struggling early, she exploded in the fourth quarter, knocking down multiple three-pointers and leading a dramatic comeback attempt. Fans watched as Clark refused to let the game slip away without a fight. Every possession felt urgent, every shot carried pressure, and somehow she kept answering the challenge. Her effort reminded everyone why she remains one of the most exciting players in basketball, even when the final result ends in disappointment.
Turn the page defensively for that first game of the season. What did you like better about today?
Well, they gave up 78 points. We're going to win a lot of games.
We did. I thought.
What more do you want?
I want more. Coaches always want more. That's the nature of the beast. We gave up 11 fast break points. Transition defense, and it's hard. Sometimes turning the ball over or quick shots lead to transition opportunities, but our transition defense has to get better. I think our ball screen defense early wasn't really good. We got better in certain situations, and then we became hackers.
Many fans focused their frustration on coaching decisions throughout the game. Questions quickly emerged about why Clark was removed from the floor while she appeared to have momentum. Indiana built an early lead, the offense looked sharp, and Clark was creating opportunities for everyone around her. Yet once rotations changed, the rhythm seemed to disappear. Critics argued that the substitutions disrupted the flow of the game and allowed the opposition to climb back into contention. Whether fair or not, those decisions became a major talking point after the final buzzer.
Let's get the bad news out of the way. Stephanie White is still your coach. But damn, Caitlin Clark tried her best to single-handedly save Stephanie White's sorry A. I'm just keeping it real. Just go on. Caitlin Clark knocked down two threes. Stephanie White benched her. She benched her, and guess what? The Washington Mystics were off to the races. Off to the races. By the way, we'd love to see some pick and roll.
The Fever's biggest problem continues to be defense. While the offense has shown flashes of brilliance, opponents consistently find ways to score in critical moments. Throughout the game, Washington attacked the paint, found open driving lanes, and capitalized on defensive breakdowns. Indiana's inability to protect leads has become a recurring theme. Even when Clark and the offense generate momentum, defensive lapses often erase those gains within minutes. Until that issue improves, every game risks following the same frustrating pattern.
Before I get into all of that, I'm just going to say this here. Fire Stephanie White ass. She's a whole bum. She's a bum of a coach. It's an absolute travesty. The Indiana Fever in this first game, and Kelsey Mitchell, I'm going to get to your ass too. 10 of 25 for 24 points. The second straight game, you haven't got a rebound, an assist. You don't even try to pass the ball. You just out there jacking up shots. I'm going to get to you. Okay, I'm going to get to you. Aaliyah Boston's injured. I'm going to cover this whole thing. But I'm going to start with Stephanie White. Caitlin Clark in the first quarter had it rolling. She hit 2 back-to-back threes. She had 3 assists. It looked like the offense was starting to pick up and click on our cylinders. We have a 12-point lead. Why do you insist on taking her out?
Following the loss, Stephanie White faced a series of difficult questions from reporters. Most centered around defensive execution, player rotations, and the recurring mistakes that have plagued the team. White emphasized effort, communication, and attention to detail as key areas needing improvement. However, many observers felt the answers remained broad rather than addressing specific decisions made during the game. As the questioning continued, the atmosphere became increasingly uncomfortable, adding another layer of scrutiny to an already difficult night.
Caitlin Clark, I can't blame you. I can't put the onus on you. The onus to me, majority, has to go to Stephanie White being terrible to the point where Caitlin Clark just said, F all this, I gotta go off. Desperation time, I gotta step up. And Caitlin Clark stepped up and dragged this team to overtime in a game that we probably should have put away going in.
One of the reasons this loss hit so hard is because it followed a familiar script. Indiana showed enough talent to compete, enough scoring to stay alive, and enough energy to excite the crowd. Yet when the pressure intensified, the same weaknesses resurfaced. Defensive breakdowns, missed assignments, and inconsistent execution once again became the difference. Fans have watched similar games unfold multiple times, making the frustration feel less about a single loss and more about a pattern that refuses to disappear.
The energy has to be dictated on that end of the floor, and that's a mindset.
You just touched on a lot of it, but they had 58 points in the paint tonight, especially start overtime. They were getting there a lot. What's you missing between your best defensive moments and worst?
I think a lot of things. One, intensity. I think attention to detail. It's little things. It's initial positioning. It's communication. It's reacting. It's relaxing off the ball. There are a lot of things that are outside of and great players make great plays. And the thing that Washington does is they keep moving.
Caitlin Clark's post-game message was noticeably measured. Rather than pointing fingers, she focused on the importance of maintaining defensive intensity regardless of offensive success. Her comments reflected a leadership mindset that prioritizes team improvement over individual blame. Clark understands that scoring alone cannot solve every problem. The challenge facing Indiana is finding a way to match its offensive firepower with the defensive consistency needed to close out games when the stakes are highest.
Glaring weakness of no length on this team was evident tonight. It was evident tonight. Let's go, folks. Good grief. It was a pretty wild game, no doubt about it. And the Iowa 22 look, the Iowa and 2024 Caitlin Clark absolutely still exist. We saw it tonight. It was fun. She tried to pull this team up.
The Fever entered the season with enormous expectations. Thanks largely to Caitlin Clark's popularity and talent, every game receives national attention. That spotlight means every rotation, substitution, and coaching decision is analyzed in real time. Losses that might normally pass quietly instead become major storylines. The pressure surrounding Indiana is unique because fans expect immediate progress, making every setback feel bigger than it might for other teams around the league.
To take her out in that first quarter, she was playing well. They had a time. They called a timeout. She was able to catch her second win. She's okay. Let her finish playing in the first quarter. You don't know what will happen, Stephanie White. We could have been up 23, 24 points by the end of the first quarter if you would have left Caitlin Clark in the way the game was going. You just find ways to throw off her rhythm. You got Aaliyah Boston at the top of the damn key the whole time, which I think when Aaliyah Boston went out, that's part of the reason Caitlin Clark was able to get off, because she had her out of the way at the top of the key. Okay, Stephanie White takes out Caitlin Clark in the first quarter when she absolutely is cooking, has it rolling. And then by the time you put her back in, we go from having, a 10, 12-point lead to a 1-point lead. Why?
As criticism grows, the discussion has expanded beyond individual games. Many supporters are now questioning the overall direction of the team. They see a roster capable of competing with anyone offensively but struggling to establish a reliable identity on defense. The concern is not simply losing games. It is the feeling that the same issues continue appearing without visible solutions. That perception has become one of the biggest challenges facing the organization moving forward.
Stephanie White hates seeing that, so what does she do? In typical Metheny fashion, she sits Caitlin Clark on the bench. You're going to sit right here next to me. Offense can't do anything. Offense can't move. Offense can't shoot. Offense can't create. Offense can't put a basket, can't put a ball in the basket. This offense looked downright disgusting in the second and the third quarter, I would say. But Caitlin Clark, she said, damn, I gotta go off. And man, oh man, she went off. This was a vintage Caitlin Clark performance tonight. Started off rocky too, 2 for 10 from the field.
Another concern involves lineup chemistry. Basketball is about more than individual talent. Successful teams rely on spacing, communication, and players understanding their roles in pressure situations. Indiana has shown moments where everything clicks, but those stretches are often followed by sudden collapses. Fans continue debating whether different rotations could unlock greater consistency, especially during critical stretches late in games when every possession matters.
White, I have to talk to you. What is your actual problem with Caitlin Clark? Like, I want to genuinely sit down and have a conversation with you. Yet you have an open invitation to this platform to clear your name, which will be impossible to do, because there's no way you watch what Caitlin Clark did and forced overtime, and you thought in overtime the best thing to do was to defer from her and go to Kelsey Mitchell. So as you can see right here, what I tweeted, I said Fever first quarter points 28, Fever second quarter points was 9. How do you have a discrepancy that large and your job as a coach isn't in question? Especially when you look at the consistency of this pattern. Stephanie White is known for doing these kind of trends. Do I got to take you back to last year with Lexi Holt benching her and then having a player? Oh, Michaela Timpson might I add, right? Benching Lexi and Michaela Timpson and then being forced to play them because there's just nobody that can play defense. Now you see the same trend happening this year, but it's with Caitlin Clark.
What makes Clark's performances even more impressive is the amount of responsibility she carries. She is expected to create offense, score efficiently, handle defensive pressure, and provide leadership all at once. Against Washington, she nearly delivered a miracle comeback through sheer determination. Her fourth quarter explosion energized the crowd and gave Indiana a chance to steal victory. Even in defeat, Clark once again proved why she remains the centerpiece of the franchise's future.
If Citron would have hit that game winner from half court, it would have been crazy, especially after Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever mounted that fourth quarter comeback. Caitlin scored most of her points in the fourth quarter. She came alive. The 3 ball was hitting all of a sudden. The defense locked down. They were in it, defensive possessions in their faces. Like, it was great. And I don't know what it is about this opening week of the WNBA, but it feels like a playoff game every single game. Kayla McBride even said the same thing. She's like, why does it feel like the playoffs already? Washington Mystics and their little young and turnt crew makes me so happy, though.
The biggest question now is whether Indiana can make adjustments before frustration becomes the defining story of the season. There is still plenty of basketball left to play, and the standings remain far from settled. However, every game adds pressure to find answers. The Fever have already shown they can score enough to compete. The next step is proving they can defend, adapt, and finish games consistently. If they solve those problems, the narrative changes quickly. If not, the questions surrounding the team will only continue.